Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, dear friends, good morning. It's a real privilege and an honor for me to speak with you from this podium for the fourth time today as Director General of the British Chambers of Commerce. It can be hard sometimes to put my admiration for chamber business communities into words. The resilience, the determination, the commitment demonstrated in the face of new challenges and indeed new opportunities. Together, we are navigating one of the most significant periods of change for business in our national history. Together, we are focused on being practical and pragmatic, supporting businesses with the real-world questions they're facing. And together, we are building an optimistic, outward-looking global business network that demonstrates the can-do spirit for which UK companies are respected and admired all around the world. Since we gathered here last year, so much has changed. After 3 frustrating and grinding years of uncertainty and gridlock, Her Majesty's government is making decisions again. Businesses will welcome this, because when governments take decisions, businesses take decisions too. And in recent weeks, the UK government has made some very big choices. Let's start with one very positive example. The green light for HS2, for which many chambers have campaigned tenaciously over the years, will bring renewed confidence and new investment across so many of our business communities. This vital new backbone for our railway network will generate business for companies the length and breadth of Britain, more capacity and connections for our towns and cities, and new opportunities for so many people. Yet some of the big political decisions that have been made in recent weeks also give rise to big questions for businesses on the ground. Take the government's plans for the UK's future relationship with the European Union, or its blueprint for a very fast shake-up of the UK immigration system. Now, we respect the fact that ministers have made big political choices. Yet we must also point out that these choices are likely to bring significant near-term costs and pressures for UK businesses and for traders. Now, these costs will be borne not just by our businesses, but also by consumers and by our communities. There is nothing ideological or political about stating this. It's a simple fact. Over the next few years, moving goods across borders is going to cost businesses more. Hiring people is going to cost businesses more. And compliance with additional rules on tax, on data, and on standards is going to cost businesses more. To their credit, ministers are now facing up to this in public. Last year's vague statements on frictionless trade have been replaced with warnings that doing business across borders will be different from January 1st. Finally, after years of debate, we're starting to hear a clear acknowledgement that big political choices have real-world adjustment costs. But the UK government can and must do far more than just that. It wouldn't be acceptable simply to say to UK businesses, your trade is going to get more complicated and more expensive over the next few years, and you'd better get ready to deal with it. No, that's not enough. Leaving UK businesses just to take it on the chin in a world where the competition doesn't face the same issues would be a real setback for the amazing British innovators and wealth creators that our government is keen to advertise and promote on billboards from Times Square to Tokyo. As one Birmingham firm put it to us just the other day, the government's telling us to go out and conquer the world, then pulling the rug out from under us with these additional costs. So, ladies and gentlemen, if the government has taken some choices that will make life harder for UK businesses, It must now take others that make things easier. It must put in place measures to help businesses whose cash flow and supply chains could be disrupted, whether because of coronavirus or because of changes at the border when the transition period comes to an end on the 31st of December. It must stop tinkering around the edges and finally tackle the drag anchor of business rates, which undermine investment and risk-taking and suffocate our high streets. It must put its money where its mouth is to support and promote UK trade, to give a leg up to the thousands of companies who overseas efforts make global Britain a reality. And it must create deeper incentives to encourage businesses of all sizes to move further and faster on carbon reduction and energy efficiency. It must move infrastructure projects forward faster, including everything from fixing local roads to expanding our global hub airport at Heathrow. It must give places more control over their own destiny to achieve the aim of levelling up the prospects for every region and nation. And crucially, Her Majesty's government must stop dreaming up new bureaucracy, new administration, and new compliance requirements so companies can put their time and their resources into their people, their communities, into trade, and into the climate challenge instead. Just 6 days from now, the Chancellor of the Exchequer will deliver the government's first budget. At this moment of change and global concern, he has a huge opportunity to go all in and take big steps to improve conditions for UK business and enterprise. An opportunity to stop the endless rises in upfront costs that strangle growing firms and dim their horizons. An opportunity to back the innovators and the entrepreneurs who put UK expertise and know-how on the global map. An opportunity to offer help to those companies and areas affected by the global challenge posed by coronavirus. And above all, to send a signal of support to British business through this period of political change so that business in return can help make the UK a better place for all its people. Now, ladies and gentlemen, not everyone here in SW1 believes that British business deserves this sort of support. There are some loud voices on both the right and the left that like to portray some of our very best businesses as if they were saboteurs, throwing their wooden clogs into the machine of progress to stop it in its tracks. Some believe that these companies are unreconciled to the results of the EU referendum, unwilling to train and grow the workforce in their local areas, hooked on low-cost labour coming into the UK from overseas, loath to leave the comfort of the markets they know and take new risks, lagging behind public opinion on climate change, or worst of all, pessimistic and negative about the prospects for the future of the UK. Yet nothing could be further from the truth. The real story exemplified by businesswomen and businessmen in this room today is one of business communities that put pragmatism above ideology, that make training the next generation a business imperative, that hire amazing talent from around the world that enhances their communities, that searches the globe for new business opportunities, works tirelessly with employees, suppliers, and customers to reduce their climate impact, and are optimistic about the prospects for the future of the United Kingdom and trade with our partners and friends all around the world. Yes, many businesses have legitimate questions and concerns about the future. Yes, they are keen for the negotiations between the UK and the European Union, which started earlier this week, to succeed. Yes, they're worried that the cost of doing businesses across borders is set to rise and that their ability to compete around the world may be affected over the next few years. But businesses understand that major change is coming and are preparing for it with the information available to them. And what they now want to see is Westminster focusing in on the details that matter so that companies can move goods, people and data across borders successfully, both now and after the 1st of January. Less political campaigning and sloganeering at 30,000 feet. More open discussion on the solutions that will make a difference at ground level, both for companies in Great Britain and for those in Northern Ireland who face significant complexity. Change of this magnitude requires openness and continued engagement, not sweeping things under the carpet and saying, nothing to see here. Because out of openness will come shared solutions. Make no mistake about it, many of the solutions to the big challenges we currently face will come straight from our entrepreneurial and can-do business communities. From the amazing businesses that make up our Chamber of Commerce network here in the UK and around the world. From the firms that prioritize people, place, and planet alongside profit. Who's going to train up the workforce to succeed in the jobs of the future? It's business. Who is going to make our places better and contribute to leveling up economic performance across all nations and regions? Again, business. And as the UK prepares to host the UN Climate Change Conference in the great city of Glasgow in November, who is going to deliver the changes in behaviour, in technology and in energy efficiency that enable our country to achieve its target of net zero carbon emissions by 2050? In this room, we already know the answer: business. So let's start talking about the following over the coming months. Let's talk about the East Lancashire companies who are cutting their carbon footprint and exporting new technology to countries in Africa on the forefront of climate change. Let's talk about the Essex businesses who are coming together to recruit and train police community support officers to stop crime in their communities. The Chamber businesses working to create more circular economies in cities like Glasgow and Edinburgh. The Staffordshire and Doncaster firms using new technology and organic materials to produce alternatives to single-use plastics. And the Black Country companies reaching out to the UK's amazing armed services family, helping to provide new opportunities to those who have served our country. Let's talk about the Dorset businesses coming together to help local young people who are leaving care so that they can develop life skills and resilience. The companies on Tyneside working together with the Chamber of Commerce to regenerate town centres and keep their high streets alive. And the steadfast determination of so many businesses in South Wales, in the Midlands, in Yorkshire and beyond, who are working to mend their communities as floodwaters recede. This is where levelling up really starts, with the work of our civic business leaders, the work of Chambers of Commerce. Diverse businesses working hand in hand with their communities and with governments to drive change and create opportunity. And we're not just doing this here in the UK. Our colleagues in China, Hong Kong and Singapore are working tirelessly as chambers to combat the impact of coronavirus on companies, on employees and on trade with the United Kingdom. Our British chambers across Europe are supporting businesses so that they can keep on trading successfully with the UK, as our chambers in Australia, New Zealand and other nations look forward to the future. If Westminster wants to see global Britain at work, it need look no further than the 60 markets where vibrant British chambers are growing our trade all across the world. Colleagues, today at this conference we're raising our sights towards 2030. We're lifting ourselves up from some of the tension and the stasis of the last 4 years, and we are looking towards the future. So we say to our leaders in Westminster today, we in business share your optimism about what the United Kingdom can achieve. We share many of your positive ambitions for the future. Achieving those ambitions depends on tackling challenges, building solutions, and seizing opportunities together. It depends on creating an environment that helps British business and trade to thrive, not just to survive. There is no limit to what the United Kingdom can achieve if we work together to tackle the details that matter. Together, with trust and with confidence and with relationships that stand the test of time. Thank you very much for listening and enjoy today's conference.